Alright, hello and welcome everyone. So today we're going to be talking about soloing the Prophet Taker, which is the first Orb Mother added to Warframe. This fight is fairly easy to solo if you can meet the gear requirement, which I know many people are not going to be able to do, and I would encourage you to instead do this in a group of 4 chroma instead of just 1. For that, let's go over all the insane equipment I'm using to solo this fight. So, first and foremost, Chroma Prime. Chroma Prime, you're going to want this for the fight no matter what group you do it in, and this is a 5 Forma Chroma build. It is worth noting that you could invest 6 Forma for the purposes of soloing, and you could change Growing Power to Corrosive Projection. Corrosive Projection does still work, just so everyone is aware, as I have tested it, so you could use that for soloing, but it is by no means required, and this is, you know, this is a pretty heavy amount of investment even still. Mods in here that are replaceable. Primed Sure-Footed could be Handspring. I know Primed Sure-Footed is very hard to acquire as it's based on logins. So yeah, if you don't have this mod, Handspring is going to do you just fine. You basically just want a way to mitigate the intense amount of knockdowns that are going to be present in this fight. Besides that, the most important mod in this entire build is Hunter Adrenaline, because you need to be able to cast your 3 and your 2 all the time. There are a light amount of magnetic procs in this fight, and Hunter Adrenaline will help you mitigate those greatly. And also, he's generally just going to provide you with all of your energy, as there are very few energy orb drops in this fight as well. Besides that, these arcanes are actually important this time. Arcane Guardian makes you even tougher. Arcane Grace gives you a form of healing, which you're going to want as many as you can get your hands on, because Chroma doesn't have any built-in healing. So Arcane Grace will be very helpful here, in addition to some other things we're going to talk about. With that, weaponry for this fight. So, weaponry for this fight, you want a lot of different damage types. So, I'm going to go over what damage types each of these weapons are covering. This Tiger's Prime is covering Slash, Heat, and Viral. It does have Impact and Puncture, but not enough to matter for the fight. So, it's only covering Slash, Heat, and Viral, essentially, and this is the build I'm running. I was running a Rubico Prime, which is definitely very good, but I think the Rubico Prime is going to be better in groups recovering damage types, because then you can do so at larger ranges. But in the solo fight, you're going to be up close and personal with the Orb Mother anyway, and this can cover 3 damage types for you, and that's really good. Another thing that can cover 3 damage types for you, even kind of 4, is the Tomb Finger. So the Tomb Finger is obviously a kit gun I've put together. If you want to see more info on that, I have a Why Would You Use of it up on the channel. This is going to be covering cold, radiation, and corrosive for us mainly. And this weapon can also cover an impact if you don't want to swap the elemental that he is currently weak to. You can use the impact on this. It is passable to lower his shields. So this is pretty good, but the Arcane makes it even better. So Pax Charge turns this into a battery weapon, which means I don't have to reload it. It reloads itself. This is very useful for saving you time during the fight, and is honestly a minor optimization on my part, and is not necessary, but will make your life a hell of a lot easier. So that's covering another 4-ish elementals, and then we have the Redeemer Prime, of course, very new, and this is going to be covering gas. So this covers gas well enough. This probably isn't the build I would run just for general use on the Redeemer Prime all over, but for this fight in particular, it has worked quite well at covering gas. So that gives me a good spread of elementals to take down the shields of the Prophet Taker during its shield phase, which we'll of course go over when we're actually doing it. In addition to these weapons, you need an Arcwing weapon for the fight. So, I have chosen the Velocitus. There are many weapons that I've seen work quite well in this fight. I've seen people say the Imperative Vandal is incredible. I have not tested it yet. I've seen a couple of people say the Corvus is really good, and many people have said the Grattler is fine for the fight if you don't mind sometimes killing yourself, which of course I'm not a huge fan of. And then the Fluctus, I've heard, is also quite good. The Singus, I've tested. It's pretty solid for this fight, but the Velocitus is currently my favorite pick. So yeah, the Velocitus, this is the build for it. This is a heavy radiation build, and the reason for that is because the Orb Mother is alloy armored. So you're going to want to get as much radiation damage as you possibly can to ignore as much of that armor as you possibly can, and of course get your damage bonus in addition to that. There is an optimization you can make on this build, but it will only be after you've already done this fight or purchased the mod with Platinum. There is a new dual stat that is the electric dual stat for Arcwing weapons, and you would replace this cold mod with it, because then you're just getting more radiation damage, and then in effect, more damage that's important to you for the fight. So, if you have access to that dual stat electric mod, it has not dropped for me yet, unfortunately, I would highly advise you to use it. But yeah, that is the Velocitus. And then, of course, I'm using the Itzel just to get to and from the fight faster. That's a minor optimization that is by no means required, but that is what I am doing. Now, that's just the Warframe stuff we have to worry about. Let's talk about the operator gear. All right, operator gear. So, over here, first and foremost, we have two operator arcanes. I have Magus Vigor, and I have Magus Elevate. Magus Elevate is the really important one here, although Vigor can be helpful in certain cases. Elevate is another form of healing that can be universal to all of your Warframes. It is incredibly useful and incredibly expensive. If you have two sets of it, I would encourage you to use two sets of it. I do not have two sets of it, because it is extremely expensive to produce. If, you wanted to, you could run Nourish, but it's not, it's close, but it's not nearly as good. I greatly regret making Nourish instead of Elevate, but of course I needed to for testing purposes. So yeah, if you have Elevate, use it. I would go so far as to say that it is nearly required to make this fight bearable without using health pads. And yeah, there's that. In terms of the amp, all you need is a long-range amp. You just want one that can shoot far. The 423 can do that very easily, as it has the long-range machine gun type beam. So that's very good. No arcanes or anything are required here. It just needs to be able to shoot far, as this is for cycling the damage resistances on the orb itself. So nothing too crazy there. However, I am going to also, during this fight, be using a lot of my focus abilities. So I'm using Zeneric. Energizing Dash is very good. Gives you more energy, more consistency on getting those 3s and 4s up, 3s and 2s up, as Chroma, his 4 is useless. And then, of course, I have every single one of the waybounds. Not all of these are important. The most important ones are, the Naramon ones and the ones that are in Zeneric in order for me to be able to teleport around very quickly. And that's what you're going to be seeing me use most of the time. With that, that's going to cover all of the gear we're going to be using for this fight. So now, let's actually do one. So, this is probably going to be a little on the slower side. It's probably going to take me something like 9 minutes just because I have to explain it while we're doing it. But this can be done in considerably less time solo. In a group, we've gotten it down to 4 minutes was our fastest. But I've gotten as low as 7 minutes by myself, so there's that. Also, you can click through this to skip it. Okay, so we are headed out to the Valis to fight the orb. So there are 3 locations that you can fight the orb in. There is the building, there's the forest, and there's the river. The river is dog shit to fight the orb. But the other 2 are, absolutely manageable and reasonable, good locations to fight it. So we're going to hope we don't get the river. And we got forest. So I will show river because it's on the way to forest. This is the river over here. These, 2 streams here that go into the lake. The orb will spawn about here, and you'll have to fight it here. And it sucks, because if you fall into the coolant, then all your buffs go away and you likely die, or you at least lose a couple minutes of efficiency, and it really blows. But this is the forest, so this is considerably better, especially for a tutorial, because I'm going to have to be talking during this. So basically, we have the front-facing monitor here. This is the symbol for gas damage. So it says, hit me with gas damage. So you just do Simon Says, and you hit it with gas damage. Now it wants electricity. We do not have electricity, so we can switch to our operator. And once the shield is gone, I'm going to tap it with the operator, and that will switch the damage type. So now this is viral, so we can pop it with the Tigress. Usually it takes 2 shots with the Tigress to pop any given damage type. Puncture, we have Puncture, but we're not good at it, so we're going to switch it. It's on Corrosive. Switch to the Tomb Finger. Pop it with Corrosive. It's on Slash. We can cover Slash pretty well with the Tigress, so we're going to slam it. There we go. Now we're on Impact. We can do Impact with our Tomb Finger, but we're just going to switch it. Tomb Finger can do Cold considerably better than it can do Impact. And now we are done with the first shielding phase. That phase is going to come back a couple of times, and is not going to get any more difficult as it goes on. But for now, we deploy our arc gun, because we need to actually do damage to this thing. So you have to shoot all of the legs, and then hit the center whenever the legs are done. And I'm totally going to miss, because there are so many Corpus following me. Corpus are real assholes in this fight. Chroma can pretty much ignore them, but they will get really annoying. And also, you can one-tap the legs with this Velocitus most of the time, unless you get unlucky with your crits or multi-shot. Or crits and multi-shot. I think you actually get unlucky with both at the same time in order for it to do that. And we'll hit this last leg here. There we go. And then we're just going to one-tap this first phase of the orb, unless we get really unlucky. There we go. We had to two-tap it. So now it's going to shoot out these pylons, and we're going to have to go after them. So basically, you want to see like about where the pylons are going and go after them without switching off of your arc gun. Switching off your arc gun would be very ill-advised here, because there's going to be another damage phase right after you're done taking these out.
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
So there we go. So now we have another damage phase. Gonna rebuff real quick. Hit that one. I'm fucking terrible. Also, I can't see through all these missiles that I'm reflecting with my 2. There we go. Oh, did I... Okay, I didn't one-tap that one. I thought I did. There we go. Now it's down, so we're through damage phase 2 now. Now we can drop our arc gun. So during this phase, when we're back to the shield phase again, it's going to be important to kill one of the arc gun wielding guys so that we can get our arc gun back. So if you see one of the Fluctus guys, you're going to want to kill them because they have arc gun charges, essentially. And he's on Toxin, which I don't have, so we're going to switch him to Radiation, which we do have.
Better you than me.
Also, like, these big spiders and stuff will appear. You can just ignore them. If you have Elevate to heal and stuff, anyway. If you don't have Elevate to heal and stuff, then you probably can't ignore them, because you will probably die. But we have Fire. There we go. We do not have Magnetic, sadly. Well, we have Magnetic now, I guess. He wants to hit us with it. Alright, he's on gas now. It's really unfortunate that being immune to knockdowns does not make you immune to the knockback from knockdowns, which will interrupt all kinds of shit that you do. Switch them again. Oh, we got nullified by one of those fuckers. Sometimes that's gonna happen, unfortunately. Alright. We got hit by one of the nullification guys, unfortunately. So that's a pain, but not unworkable. We're already rebuffed. There we go. Alright, next damage phase is here. So we did not get an arc gun thing, but it is ready because we had that nullification issue come up. So now we can get hit by this fucking shield and get pushed back. And also get unlucky. There we go. One leg down. It's really great that you're not just like immune to these shields whenever you're immune to knockdown. Let me tell you. Oh, I also got unlucky again. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Pop this. That should be enough. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, switching to the next phase. It's going to shoot shields out again, and then there's going to be another shield phase, so you can drop the arc gun for this one.
Scratch one.
Go. Pylons back up. Wreck 'em.
There we go. There are considerably more pylons this time. But it is the same, pretty much. Alright, there we go. Now we're ready for the next shield phase. So we've got Impact, so we're going to switch that to Cold, so we can hit him very hard. It's on Toxin, so we're going to switch that at our earliest convenience. And we're on radiation, so we can hit him again.
Third time.
And we're gonna hope that enemies stop interrupting our shooting with knockbacks, because 1 million knockbacks is the name of the game for this fight. We're on fire.
Sparky, you're running out of time. You
Magnetic,
have to
which we
kill
do
her
not have.
now. We won't get another chance at this.
Gas, which we do have. And now we're on electricity, which we unfortunately do not have. You can get really lucky with these sometime, and it'll cycle to a bunch of ones that you do have. But unfortunately, this time we're not getting lucky. There we go. And shield's down, so now we can finish this thing off. And our Archon should be ready to go. Also, Ice Chroma is what's protecting me from those missiles very well, for anyone wondering why they stop when they hit me. Oh, unlucky. Actually, that was a very unlucky one. Wow, again with the super unlucky. Okay, that one's broken now. Jesus, very unlucky this fight. There we go. There we go. Alright, let's kill this fucking spider. Oh, unlucky again. Now it's dead. Alright, so that was, I think, maybe the least lucky run I've had of this fight ever. But it was still, like, reasonably fast. And we've got all these annoying spooters to deal with. But we don't actually have to deal with them. So drops from this, we're going to get 125k credits, 1 Charisma Toroid, and also a bunch of bonds for you to get daily rep with. I do have a credit booster, which then has this weekend's booster being active, so I'm going to get 50,000 credits. I'm sorry, 500,000 credits. And I have a resource booster, so I'm going to get 2 Charisma Toroids. So boosters do affect this fight. But yeah, it's pretty fast. In a group, the fastest I've had this fight go is 4 minutes, and solo, especially without talking, my fastest has been 7 minutes, I believe. So it's a pretty quick fight, especially once you get used to it. That was like a 9-minute fight, as I thought it might be, just because of all the explanations and things. But yeah, that is Profit Taker. Hopefully everything about the fight is understood. If you guys have any questions about the fight, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I'll try and get to people. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. I would encourage you guys to farm this weekend if you are capable of doing so, as the double credits makes it quite good for getting a bunch of credits built up if you don't have them already. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.